What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. We're diving back into a brand new game that just got announced called Geronimo today. And I talked about Geronimo in a previous video. It is a little indie project being developed by Dark Matter Studios, a new developing studio on the scene. Only a couple developers working on this project, but it is a VR game that I believe has the potential to really change the game in the tactical shooter scene in virtual reality. And I already did a video on it. I'll link that on screen right now so you guys can get up to speed. But basically, it is a special operations themed virtual reality first-person shooter experience that seems to be committed to delivering an authentic experience with some awesome features that I have always said would be critical in any compelling VR CQB shooter, such as intelligent AI that react to the environment around you, as well as a procedurally generated environment so that no two runs are exactly the same and you can expect to see a different experience each time you launch one of those procedurally generated maps. Well, since I made that video, their Discord has been popping off quite a bit, which has been extremely healthy because we're seeing the developers interact with the community over in the Discord server. That is also down in the description. I'd encourage you guys to jump on in. And also in that Discord server is a bunch of new information that has been published since I initially revealed the game on my channel. The only information we had in the previous video was the trailer that dropped. Some of the new stuff that's been previewed is a gore system. We can see that there's bullet impacts on enemy AI. We can see blood splatter on the wall and on the floor behind an engaged target. It looks relatively compelling. You can see that it's still a work in progress. The bullet holes themselves are a little bit overdone, but nonetheless still look plenty good and definitely better than some of the other first-person shooters we've seen. It should be noted that this game is all done on Unreal Engine 4, which means the developers have been iterating extremely fast. And even in my private conversations with the developers, we're seeing changes implemented extremely rapidly, and they're taking feedback from the suggestions channel on the Discord, and we're seeing those things thrown into the build that they are developing off of right away. The second thing they show on here is the death animations for AI, and they've got a blended system that reacts on ragdoll mechanics as well as pre-built animations and physics. So you're seeing an AI get hit in the upper torso and head. He kind of spazzes out into his death animation, and that as he falls and he's affected by gravity, crashes into the wall and then slumps over, and we see the gore and the blood splatter all with it as well. This little stuff shows their commitment to trying to get this thing right and just making things that are compelling and immersive. And when you have all these little features working together, the end goal or the end feel should be something that's extremely immersive. Some of the feedback the developers initially got was that the build shown in the original trailer showed a transparent body and floating hands. And even some folks on my YouTube channel commented that that's, immersion breaking and unacceptable. The developers took that feedback and they already have a work in progress full body with hands and kit shown in game. And it looks pretty good, especially for a first look. It should be noted that all these videos are getting pulled straight from Discord. So if there's like a lot of file compression and noise in the video, that's not because that's, what you're seeing through the headset. That's strictly compression through Discord or the app that is hosting that video. So we're already seeing a full body. Full body's huge. It's going to be interesting to see how they work, like the actual kit manipulations, if you can set your kit up, how you grab, mags and stuff like that off the kit. It'll be interesting to see how the developers balance having that full body there with the player's experience actually retrieving equipment off of their plate carrier. The nods that were in the original video were okay, but it kind of had this Hollywood-esque sort of like super aggressive neon green tint to the green Foss nods. And they've already iterated on the night vision filter, and they posted a screen cap of what the new night vision may look like. And it reminds me a lot of Insurgency Sandstorm night vision. It's got like, this blur effect or this vignette in the corners, and a really cinematic and kind of eye-popping, green phosphor tube with nice starlight that is backlit, and it just looks really good. It looks really pretty. It looks like a first-person shooter like on a flat screen PC. Certainly not something that I would expect to see out of VR, but they're doing it, and it looks, damn good. They got initial feedback on the lighting, and they went back and they redid some of the lighting on some of their levels, and they kind of brightened it up, made things more visible. I think that's going to help a lot with target identification, and it looks it looks extremely impressive. So again, just we're seeing people make recommendations, developers hear those recommendations, and then they immediately implement them into the test build. And it's a really responsive dev team, and all signs are pointing positively. Some of the more exciting clips are shown up in their official media channel. There's one, still frame of a hostage taker, an enemy AI holding a hostage on an aircraft. And this is super exciting because, one, that means now we know there's hostage rescue confirmed in the game. And that's just going to be a phenomenal player experience. And it adds some of those like mission driven storytelling and compelling game modes that we talked about in my first video. You need some sort of direction. You can't just do terrorist hunt over and over again for 5 years. And we're seeing that hostage rescue game mode get implemented. And that's going to be a tight shot, especially in virtual reality. It's going to require some talent, some skill to try and take out that, small reduced A zone shot of that hostage taker that's right next to that hostage. It'll be cool to see if that hostage taker is going to like move her around at all, and how the interaction between those two entities, what that looks like. Then we got a sneak preview of the AI intelligence, and this is really actually super important. I'll show you both clips. One is in the dark on that aircraft fighting that hostage taker. The player peeks around the corner, gets suppressed. You see the suppression effect occur on screen. Looks really good. That hostage taker ducks back into cover, and it's not just standing in the middle of the aisle spraying down the long axis, and instead that hostage taker is revealing really briefly, taking a shot and then ducking back into cover before attempting to do the same thing later on and getting engaged as a result of it. So intelligent AI using cover to mask their movement and their maneuver from the player, which is really, really cool. In the second clip here, you see AI seeking cover behind a vehicle. The player doesn't know that AI is there. The AI might hear that player, but for whatever reason isn't popping up right away. Does pop up, shoots at the player, then seeks cover and stays concealed from the player. The player may or may not have engaged and successfully destroyed that target with that initial shot, but the AI seeks cover behind that vehicle and is actually waiting to jump out and ambush the player. So that's really interesting. Haven't seen AI move yet, so it'll be kind of cool to see if they're able to maneuver on the player and work in buddy teams or teams of 3 or 4 to fix the player with fires and then maneuver on them, or if the AI will reposition from cover to cover. Some more screen caps were revealed. We're seeing the player models that look, pretty good. They've already gotten feedback on hand placement on the weapon systems and the fact that right now you don't actually see the player model shoulder the weapon and present in a more authentic way. I know that's something that is being worked on. What is kind of really cool, in my opinion, is the look from the first-person view now that you have arms on screen. It looks really freaking good. It looks really compelling. You get that kind of thumb over bore perspective from the headset, from the player's point of view, and certainly the night footage is starting to look really, really nice. Maybe the most exciting clip that we've seen so far is this one, and it is the two developers, Pebbles and Stilton, working together in a room clearing clip. Neither of these guys, I should say, are like tactical CQB experts or anything like that, but they're certainly super interested in it, and they are committed to getting it right, and they are asking all the right questions of the right people. So the two of them stacked outside of a room. One of them engages through a window to engage a target. You can see the frame kind of cut out. They're using a quick turn feature that can be disabled. They're using lights and lasers while they enter and clear the room. They've got an AI moving laterally from one room into another, seeking cover behind the couch, gets engaged in the process, and hot damn, we finally see that AI moving, and it actually does look pretty damn good. They've got some smoke coming off of the cans on those weapons. They've been told that characteristic, that feature is kind of exaggerated, and they are dialing it back just a little bit. But again, it just goes to show you they're receiving feedback, they're implementing that feedback, and they're just rapidly iterating on the development. The final screen that I'll show you guys here is the player kit as it exists right now. And I know that this is something that the developers are wrestling with. They've gotten a lot of feedback on it. The player kit as it stands right now, you see you've got a utility slot that holds like a breaching charge, 2 mag pouches for pistol high on the chest, 3 mag pouches for rifle centered on the chest. This still actually shows a sub belt being worn as well, or a battle belt. So to be determined whether or not we'll see those battle belts implemented in the inventory system. But I know that there's interest from across the community, and the devs seem to be responding well to it. But they're iterating again on the player kit, on the plate carrier, on the positioning of magazines and stuff like that. Certainly, we've submitted the feedback that we'd like to see that kit be customizable, similar to Tarkov or Ground Branch or Crunch Element, even in VR VR, so you can kind of put those things where you want them on your plate carrier, but I don't know where that is on the priority list for the developers. But if you haven't checked out Geronimo yet, certainly recommend that you guys head over to Steam and wishlist it. Join the Discord to participate in the discussion. This game is set to go into early access on the 1st of December of 2022, and by all accounts, the developers seem to be on track to be able to achieve that. If you enjoyed this video, you want to stay up to date on Geronimo, all other tactical, CQB, and VR titles, this is the place to do it. I'm Controlled Pairs. This was Geronimo, and I'll see you guys in the next one.